The art of accurate thinking is not difficult to acquire, although certain definite rules must be followed. To think accurately, one must follow at least two basic principles, as follows. 1. Accurate thinking calls for the separation of facts from mere information. 2. Facts, when ascertained, must be separated into two classes, important and unimportant, or irrelevant. The question naturally arises, what is an important fact? And the answer is, an important fact is any fact that is essential for the attainment of one's definite chief aim or purpose, or which may be useful or necessary in connection with one's daily occupation. All other facts, while they may be useful and interesting, are comparatively unimportant as far as the individual is concerned. No one has the right to have an opinion on any subject unless he or she has arrived at that opinion by a process of reasoning based upon all the available facts connected with the subject. Despite this fact, however, nearly everyone has opinions on nearly every subject, whether they are familiar with those subjects or have any facts connected with them or not. Snap judgments and opinions that are not opinions at all, but mere wild conjectures or guesses, are valueless. There's not an idea in a carload of them. Anyone may become an accurate thinker by making it a point to get the facts, all that are available with reasonable effort, before reaching decisions or creating opinions on any subject. When you hear someone begin a discourse with such generalities as, "I hear that so-and-so is the case," or "I see by the papers that so-and-so did so-and-so," you may put that person down as one who is not an accurate thinker, and his opinions, guesses, statements, and conjectures should be accepted, if at all, with a very hefty grain of salt. Be careful also that you do not indulge in wild, speculative language that is not based upon known facts. It often requires considerable effort to learn the facts on any subject, which is perhaps the main reason why so few people take the time or go to the trouble to gather facts as the basis of their opinions. You are presumably studying this philosophy for the purpose of learning how you may become more successful. And if that is true, then you must break away from the common practices of the masses who do not think, and take the time to gather facts as the basis of thought. That this requires effort is freely admitted, but it must be kept in mind that success is not something that one may come along and pluck from a tree, where it has grown of its own accord. Success is something that represents perseverance, self-sacrifice, determination, and strong character. Everything has its price, and nothing may be obtained without paying this price. Or, if something of value is thus obtained, it cannot be retained for long. The price of accurate thought is the effort required to gather and organize the facts on which to base the thought. How many automobiles pass this gas station each day? The manager of a chain of such stations asked a new employee. And on what days is traffic the heaviest? I am of the opinion, the young man began. Never mind your opinion, the manager interrupted. What I asked you calls for an answer based upon facts. Opinions are worth nothing when the actual facts are attainable. With the aid of a pocket calculator, this young man began to count the automobiles that passed his station each day. He went a step further and recorded the number that actually stopped and purchased gas or oil, giving the figures day by day for 2 weeks, including Sundays. Nor was this all. He estimated the number of automobiles that should have stopped at his station day by day for 2 weeks. Going still further, he created a plan that cost only the price of 1-page flyers, and that actually increased the number of automobiles that stopped at his station the following 2 weeks. This was not a part of his required duties, but the question asked him by his manager had put him to thinking, and he made up his mind to profit by the incident. The young man in question is now a half-owner in a chain of gas stations and a moderately wealthy man, thanks to his ability to become an accurate thinker. The jack of all trades seldom accomplishes much at any trade. Life is so complex, and there are so many ways of dissipating energy unprofitably, that the habit of concentrated effort must be formed and adhered to by all who would succeed. Power is based upon organized effort or energy. Energy cannot be organized without the habit of concentration of all the faculties on one thing at a time. An ordinary magnifying glass may be used to so focus the rays of the sun that they will burn a hole in a board in a few minutes. Those same rays will not even heat the board until they are concentrated on one spot. The human mind is something like the magnifying glass because it is the medium through which all the faculties of the brain may be brought together and made to function in coordinated formation, just as the rays of the sun may be focused on one spot with the aid of that glass. It is worth considering that all the outstandingly successful people in all walks of life concentrated the major portion of their thoughts and efforts upon some one definite purpose, objective, or chief aim. Witness the impressive list of men who created and led this country's earlier history, whose success was due to their having acquired and practiced the habit of concentration. Woolworth concentrated upon the single idea of 5 and 10 cent stores and became one of the nation's creative geniuses in the retail field. Henry Ford concentrated all his energies upon the single aim of creating a cheap but practical automobile, and that idea made him one of the most powerful and richest men in history. Marshall Field concentrated his efforts upon building the world's greatest store, and was rewarded by tens of millions of dollars, an unthinkable amount at that time. Wrigley concentrated his efforts upon the production and sale of a humble 5-cent package of chewing gum, and was rewarded by millions of dollars, and a memorable place in history for his perseverance. Edison concentrated his mind upon the production of the talking machine, the electric light, the motion picture, and scores of other useful inventions, until they all became realities and assured him a place at the top of the pantheon. George Eastman concentrated his energy upon radically improving the business of photographs, and this one idea made him a multimillionaire. Andrew Carnegie, the child of immigrants, envisioned a great steel industry, concentrated his mind upon that purpose, and made tens of millions of dollars. James J. Hill, while still working as a telegrapher at $40 a month, concentrated his thought upon the dream of a great transcontinental railway system, and kept on thinking about it, and acting on his thought as well, until it became a splendid reality and made him one of the wealthy men of his time. Orville Wright concentrated upon one goal, mastering the air with a heavier-than-air machine, and accomplished it against all odds, with life-changing results. Marconi concentrated his mind upon one thought, sending wireless messages, and countless lives were improved. Truly, whatever one can imagine, one can create, providing the mind concentrates upon it with determination, not to stop short of victory. Great and powerful is the human mind when functioning through the aid of concentrated thought. Woodrow Wilson determined to become President of the United States 25 years before he actually occupied the president's chair in the White House, but he kept his mind concentrated upon this one purpose, and eventually achieved it. Ingersoll concentrated on the production of a good, practical watch that could be sold for $1, His idea, plus his concentrated efforts, made of him a multimillionaire. Rockefeller concentrated his efforts upon the refining and distribution of oil, and his efforts brought him tens of millions of dollars. Russell Conwell concentrated a lifetime of effort on the delivery of his famous lecture, Acres of Diamonds, and that one lecture brought in more than $6 million at a time when people were being paid in pennies, and rendered the people of his time a service the extent of which can never be estimated in mere money. Lincoln concentrated his mind upon freedom for mankind and saw his task through, though the end proved unfortunate to him. So the story might go on in one continuous chain, as evidence that concentrated effort is profitable. Find out what you wish to do. Adopt a definite chief aim, then concentrate all your energies in support of that purpose until it has reached a happy climax. Wherever a group of people ally themselves in an organized, cooperative spirit for the carrying out of some definite purpose, it will be observed that they are employing the law of concentration, and unless they do so, their alliance will be without real power. Raindrops, as they fall through the air, represent a very great form of energy. But this energy cannot be called real power until those raindrops are collected in a river or dam, and made to pour their energy over a wheel in organized fashion, or until they are confined in a boiler and converted into steam. Everywhere, regardless of the form in which it is found, power is developed through concentrated energy. Whatever you are doing as your daily occupation, then, do it with all of your attention, with all your heart and soul, focused on that one definite thing.